Testing 1, 2, 3, mic 1. Mic check 4, testing 1, 2, 3.
Mike's hot.
Tell the people what they're doing. What they're watching.
Tell the people. That's you. Thanks for joining us a few minutes early. We're about to get started here with X's and Omar. Hang with us. After, we'll get your questions that you send us live in the chat room and also on Twitter using the hashtag XOmar. We'll answer those questions live after the show. However, we do have some Twitter questions that you sent Omar earlier this week that we will answer during the show.
Alright, so let me know when you guys are ready.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Is this one going to be fun today?
Yeah, why not?
Let's have some fun.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, this is
kind of,
Nah, come on.
You know
man.
where it's like? It's like there was like a fire. There's a little fire.
Okay.
And it was growing, and it was growing,
Then the
and it
Ravens
was
just
growing.
pissed all over it.
And then it was just like a bucket of water. There was just like
one of those helicopters came down and just opened up.
And like, the fire is still there. It's down there. It can start burning again. You know that you've got a good base to build another fire. Problem is, it's probably not until 2017.
Oh, I don't know about that. All right, phone off, ready to go.
Alright.
It'll take a few months. All right?
Alright. We're live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to the Week 14 edition of X's and Omar, alongside Sentinel Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly. I'm CBS 12 Sports Director Matt Lincoln. You are Dolphins fans that have felt pretty good about yourself for the past month plus.
Got a little arrogant.
And it all came crashing down to an end. We kind of figured the Dolphin season was not going to end on this one big, long winning streak, but what we didn't think was that it was going to end with this kind of thud, a 38-6 pummeling at the hands of the Ravens.
I think it's the fashion of the loss. It was an embarrassing fashion. You thought you were a better team. You thought you were playoff ready. You thought you were ready for December. And then the Ravens taught you, no, you're not. You're not who you thought you were. Go back to the drawing board and come back to us later. That could have been a matchup of first round playoff caliber teams, and you showed you the gap is pretty wide in terms of execution, talent level, performance. The question is, how will they rebound? How will they respond? They cannot flatline like the Dolphins have done so often, so many times in December. They cannot flatline. Somebody's got to grab a defibrillator and pump them back up.
Is that because that's what I know a lot of Dolphins fans are thinking today? Oh, we've been tricked. This is just like every other Dolphins team. Adam Gase has tricked us. Do you think that's the case? Has this been fool's gold?
I don't think that's the case because we've seen so many signs that there has been progress. I mean, we came into the season, interestingly, we have been able to document this all the way from the preseason.
Right.
So we can tell you what the storylines were. Did the Dolphins have a deep roster?
No.
Could they endure injuries?
No.
Have injuries happened?
Yes.
Did they manage to endure injuries and get to 7 wins?
Yeah, they have. For the most part, yeah, they have.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're at 7. Most people thought 7 and 9 was realistically the bar where they were at as a team. I personally thought 7 and 9 was the bar. Now, when they got to 7, heading into last week's game against Baltimore, the stakes got raised a little bit. And now we're sitting there talking about playoffs. Remember how many shows we said, let's not say the P word. And we finally get to the point where we could say the P word. And it raised expectations. Unfortunately, this team just wasn't ready or prepared to handle that pressure.
Why?
I just don't think, if you're talking about why did they lose in that fashion to Baltimore, so many injuries. You had guys like Brandon Albert, Laramie Tunsil, even Kiko Alonso, Devontae Parker going out there playing injured. And it impacted the performance. We're talking about a team that's not very deep. Okay, let's say Brandon Albert and Laramie Tunsil played at 75% against one of the best defensive lines in NFL. Okay, that's going to put a little stress on those players. Kiko Alonso with the calf injury and now a broken thumb. Man, I mean, Kiko Alonso, we've talked about him all season. He's been one of the best acquisitions that they made the entire offseason. He looked like trash last week.
Yeah.
And you got to factor in that part of it is the calf injury. Part of it is a thumb injury. Now, did any other linebacker step up? No, we've known linebacker was an issue all season. Nobody stepped up. Where's the surprise element there? I think what hurts is that Ryan Tannehill did what he does, which is took a dip down. He goes, and then he goes.
Right.
And then he builds back up, and then he goes. And that's just the reality of who this team is. The question is, we always wondered, could they get out of it? Could they become consistent? Could they not have a December swan song nosedive? And it's
One
early.
game doesn't make game
Exactly.
doesn't make a
It's
nosedive.
early. They've got 4 games left.
Yes.
We will see. To me, this is the best week for me to. I love these weeks because I get to see who's a fighter.
Yeah.
I get to see who's responding. I watched the coach's film. I watched it twice. I watched the coach's film this morning, and I saw guys quit. I watched. I created the copies and put up the video. This guy's quitting.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to respond to that adversity. And this is a tough love week for this coaching staff to give this team. You're a quitter. How will you respond next week? Show me who you are, the makeup of this character of this team. And nobody knows. Nobody knows. We're all curious.
Yeah. All right, let's take some of your questions. We'll start with Raekwon. Can Miami bounce back from this ugly loss like they did with the Titans' ugly loss at home?
I think they can. The Titans' loss was a gut check. I think Titans are a better team than a lot of people thought but back when the Dolphins lost to them.
Right.
But it was the fashion of the loss. The Titans just bludgeoned you, and you didn't expect that. Now, you expected Baltimore to beat your face in. Okay, they beat your face in.
Right.
The key is how will you respond against a physical Cardinals team? And that, to me, I mean, Clyde Christensen's kind of joked about it, the Dolphins offensive coordinator, where they every week they're facing a top 5 defense. It's back to back to back to back to back to back. And that's the reality of it, where the Cardinals top 5 defense again.
Right.
So how is this offense going to respond? Is this offensive line going to protect Ryan Tannehill? Are they going to open up holes for J.J.? Is Ryan Tannehill going to become more consistent, throw less turnovers? Which linebackers show up? I want to know how this team responds.
Yeah. Well, if we want to draw a corollary to that game, no offensive lineman cut this week, right?
Well, he actually was offensive. Bryce Harrison.
But that's how Adam Gase used that week to sort of wake people up.
He sent a warning shot.
Sure. What does he do this week?
I think it's about holding people accountable and maybe benching somebody. Remember after that Tennessee week, not only did they cut players, they demoted Mario Williams and demoted Jason Jones. Mm-hmm. Got people's attention. Help the unit start to play better. To me, watching the film, there's a glaring problem with Anthony Steen and his performance the last 2 weeks. This week was worse than last week. He's the center that's replaced Mike Pouncey. Mike Pouncey isn't coming back. Maybe he is. Pray that Mike Pouncey's coming back healthy. But I think you need to start considering Craig Urbick, open competition this week of practice, whoever performs the best starts, because you got to get something better out of your center position. Now, and I know Steen is the young guy, and he's made all the calls, but his performance was hold your nose bad.
All right, let's take our next question from Luke. What issues does the coaching staff need to address this week, in addition to what you've just said?
Oh, man, the linebacker. Linebacker unit has been an issue all season. Mm-hmm. We know this. Jelani Jenkins is out there playing on one bad leg. Kiko Alonso, now he's got the calf injury. He's not exactly the greatest run stuffer in the world, so that's why they're 30th in defense, but his coverage has been strong. Well, on that calf, the coverage was not so strong.
Right.
Then you doing without Cole Misi, Donald Butler, Neville Hewitt have had to step up. Well, they plateaued, and they're not playing at a high level right now. If Kiko cannot play, you're going to have problems because everything funnels into Kiko. You have to basically change your entire defense or pray that Mike Hall is much better than the undrafted player, undersized linebacker. They call him Scrap for a reason. He's scrappy as hell, and he's instinctive. Pray that he goes out there and has a career game that says, hey, maybe this guy can be an NFL starter. But that's a lot of prayer involved. And I don't have any answers for that linebacker situation outside of free agency.
Well, we'll break down the Cardinals in a little bit, but everything they do offensively is about 5 yards down the field, right in the middle to David Johnson and their receivers there. All right, let's take our next question from Robert. Dion Jordan was able to cover Calvin Johnson and Gronk pretty good. Why don't they bring him up?
Dion Jordan is not healthy.
Yeah.
He's not a linebacker.
He's not that guy anymore.
He's not that guy anymore. He's about 285, 90 pounds. He's athletic. He can. They don't have to bring him up until next week. And I think maybe next week, because you need to probably start to invest and see what you have. Mario Williams is bad right now. He can't help you as a defensive end. He can't help you as a defensive tackle. Effort is minimal. I don't know even if you give him more snaps, if you're going to get more production out of him. You need help on the defensive line. Jason Jones does come back from his suspension, but he's battling a knee injury. He wasn't very good when he left. Why not Dion Jordan at this point?
Right.
Why not?
What do you think is Mario's issue?
You want the truth?
I mean, yeah, that's an unscripted question, but yeah, I think we all would want to know what Mario's issue is.
Everything that they said about him in Buffalo was accurate. Effort, not there. Desire to play, not there. Quit on his team, he did that in Buffalo. And the effort is, I don't know if he's quit on the Dolphins, but effort isn't there.
Right.
He was responsible for one touchdown and didn't set the edge on a play in the first touchdown, and then effort on the second touchdown was just like, I'm like, he starts a defense tackle, goes out in a stunt, and like he's just standing there. Like,
Yeah.
The Dolphins have this mantra about strain, like strain to the end. Every play matters. Everything can make a difference. That was a red zone. That was a goal line stand, and he just acted like he didn't care. And that to me is like, wow. That to me, I wouldn't even play him.
Right.
I don't care if he's sick. I don't care if he's, he looks like he's just cashing a check. And he's getting a pretty hefty check, $8.5 million. I'd expect the Dolphins to cut him next year. There's no way the Dolphins are going to keep him next year for $8.5 million. But I don't even know if I want him playing to finish the season. I would rather see Terrence Fede and maybe even Dion Jordan.
All right, let's move on a little bit more, and it's time for Omar's your favorite game.
Oh, yeah.
True or false?
First, we'll start off with true, that my Miami Carroll City Chiefs, as you can see here, are going to win the state championship. They're playing Lakeland Lakes Gibson.
Lakeland Lakes Gibson.
Yeah, in Orlando. Tough game, home turf for that team. But our Chiefs, we're gonna be there in full force.
We're all rooting for you.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that.
You going?
Yeah. I have a Lauryn Hill concert.
You're picking Lauryn Hill over your alma mater.
I wanted to see her my entire life in concert. Are you kidding? Like, what do you want me to do?
All right, well, you all know what to do on Twitter. True or false?
I got the game the next day. Come on.
You can go to the Lauryn Hill concert. Anyway. True or false from Mark? Ryan Tannehill is the guy, despite his inconsistency, to continue investing in, build a team around.
True.
A magical question.
True.
Yeah.
I don't. Ryan Tannehill will never carry a team to the Super Bowl. But there are a lot of quarterbacks that you could say will never carry a team to the Super Bowl. If you're waiting for a quarterback to carry a team to the Super Bowl, then you'll probably be waiting a decade. Think about Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Cam Newton. All of you would agree are elite quarterbacks, right?
Sure.
How are their teams doing right now?
They are not very good right now.
Okay. Build a team around Ryan and build an offensive line, a brick wall, like you saw with the Unicorns.
Sure.
Build a physical running game. Jay Ajayi's on pace for 1,200 rushing yards. Build a defense, because everybody's so obsessed with Ryan Tannehill. This defense is pretty bad.
Yeah.
And Vance Joseph, last week we were talking about the miracles Vance Joseph was working, turning water into wine. Well, that wine turned back into water last week, and there's no answers there. You need some reinforcements on. You need defensive ends. You need defensive tackles. You need linebackers. You need a lot on defense, and you probably need another cornerback. That's where your energy and efforts need to go towards. Stop worrying about Ryan. Well, here's the beauty of Ryan Tannehill. What I know for a fact Adam Gase loves: smart, hard worker, athletic, tough, resilient. He's endured a lot. and he will do exactly what he's told to do. No. What coach, what quarterback whisperer doesn't want a quarterback that says,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. You want me to put it right there in that little hole right there? Okay, I'll put it right there.
Yeah. Well, and I would say the one thing, if there's one thing we learned in the last 6 weeks, if you can run the ball and you can protect him, Ryan Tannehill can make game-winning throws.
Yes. Okay. We've known that since 2013.
But we've really seen it, I think.
Oh, yeah,
we've really seen it.
Everything
Hit
has to be
great
good around
plays.
him.
Yeah.
If everything is good around him, you got
He can
yourself
be-
a chance.
yeah.
I will tell you right now, if Mike Pouncey was on this offensive line, a healthy Mike Pouncey, could they have beaten Baltimore? Probably not. But could they have won 3 of the final 4? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to build a team around him to support him. Run game, get this defense better. Keep these wide receivers, because that's a little fishy area. Nah, Kenny Stills, I don't know. I don't care what you do with that. But build a team around him. Stop focusing on Ryan. He's going to get better. He's gotten better every single year at something. His numbers are high. Build the team around him.
All right, let's take our next true or false from Vin. Tannehill has hit his ceiling.
I don't think he's hit his ceiling this year. I think he'll hit his ceiling next year when he's in his second year in the offense. Think about this. Matt Ryan last year, were you talking about Matt Ryan as an elite quarterback in the NFL?
Not really. He wasn't playing great last year.
Is he an elite quarterback this year?
He's much better this year.
You know what the coincidence is? This is his second year in the same offense. He got a little bit better offensive line too, but second year in the same offense. Ryan will hit his ceiling next year. We will see everything that this guy is going to become. He's going to be here. He's going to get his salary. They're not going to trade him. They're not going to go after Jay Cutler. They're not going to draft the quarterback. This is going to be Ryan's team. Ryan's going to be in the second year in the offense. They're probably going to reinforce the offensive line, maybe get him another wide receiver to replace Kenny Stills, and you're going to see the best out of him. What that is, I have no idea.
All right, next from Cameron, true or false, defensive coordinator Vance Joseph will land a head coaching job this offseason.
While I think he'll be a candidate that's interviewed a lot, and not just because of the Rooney Rule, which is a factor, I don't think there are going to be many jobs out there. So I'm going to say there's going to be false. There's going to be Jacksonville, maybe Cincinnati, even though that I think firing Marvin Lewis would be a stupid move.
Maybe the Jets.
How could they fire Todd Bowles after 2 years?
You see
You can't keep churning in.
Okay.
You can't fire a coach after a 10-win season. Injuries that led to what you're seeing there. I mean, hey.
This is the NFL. We've seen worse.
We have seen worse. But you know what I disrespect about the New York media? They're on this fire Todd Bowles campaign because he's not their guy.
Right.
Because he's not Rex. He's not the buddy that's feeding them information. He's not buddying up to the media. Oh, well, let's get this guy out of town. Like, okay, they're not winning right now. There's a lot of factors that go into winning. Are they not an injury-decimated team?
No, they certainly are.
Okay.
And that has a quarterback problem.
That has a quarterback problem.
that's not on
How many
Bowles.
injury-decimated teams with a quarterback problems are winning?
Yeah, not many. But it does seem it's week 14. We haven't had a coach fired yet. So it's been a long time since we've made this deep into a season and not fired a coach.
I would be shocked if there are 3 coaches fired this year.
Yeah.
Which means there's going to be very few opportunities for guys to make that move. And I think Vance Joseph is going to be here another year. Is he ready to become a head coach? Probably not, but next year maybe.
All right, true or false? Matty Ice, do you see Jarvis Landry being a Dolphin for his whole career?
I'm going to have to go with false on this one. And part of the reason is because you rarely ever see. Jason Taylor ended up somewhere else his entire career. Zach Thomas ended up somewhere else his entire career. Dan Marino was probably the last that decided that he was going to hang it up after a impressive career. More importantly, you need to make sure that Jarvis gets his money next year before because he's up for a contract restructuring. You're talking about something in the $50 to $60 million range. The team has to show that they're going to take care of their own, and that is important for Jarvis Landry. His financial security needs, because keep in mind, he's never made money in the NFL.
Right.
His financial security comes this year, and considering the nature of the position and how his style of play, he needs that money. Jarvis, I would expect him to be on a holdout if he doesn't get it.
Okay. True or false from Jim? Struggling against the tight ends like we did versus Dennis Pitta is an aberration and not the norm. True or false? It's an aberration.
It is false that it's an aberration. We've seen this all season long. Not just Dennis Pitta. You've seen Martellus Bennett chew you up. Rob Gronkowski could do it. Charles Clay didn't have a dynamic game against Miami. Vance Miller did with the 49ers.
Vance McDonald, yeah.
Vance McDonald. We have seen this all year long with this Dolphins team. Tight ends are making plays. It's not just this year, it's in years past. My ideal situation for this Dolphins team is in the offseason, go sign a heat-seeking inside linebacker with great instincts that can stuff the run, can read out the run, diagnose, and get to it with the physicality that Kiko Alonso lacks, and move Kiko to the weak side spot. That helps you on both accords. You don't have that right now.
Well, it all comes back to what we've talked about. It's linebacking issues since the beginning of the season, since the offseason, since last season, for a while. And true or false from Jeff. Would putting the offense on the field first to gain momentum for the defense rather than deferring help?
You know what? This is something that I have always wondered, thought about, and I'm going to do research on this because a lot of teams, it's called the Madden Rule now, where because of Madden gave you the opportunity to defer, and most people in Madden decide, hey, I want the ball in the second half.
Right.
The NFL coaches all of a sudden just like, oh, this makes more sense. Well, I think it's important to set the tone on offense. You worked all week to script these 20 plays, script these red zone plays. Why not go out there and be aggressive as opposed to putting your weaker unit, your defense, for Miami, on the field first and asking them, go respond, hold them, get a 3rd and out. How often has that happened this year? The Dolphins have the worst first quarter differential. They're the lowest scoring first quarter team and one of the highest in terms of how many points they've allowed in the first quarter. So they are the worst first quarter team. If it ain't working, try something else.
Right.
Might be time that you actually get the ball first.
And figure out what the issues are as early as you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, get off to a faster start. And that's been a problem.
Right.
Worst thing for this team is to be playing from behind, because then that forces you to become the team, a Joe Philbin team, pass happy and basically no pass rush.
Bill Belichick has always said that the Patriots always defer because the Patriots as a team always do so well in the last 2 minutes of the first half. They play the whole, so much of the second quarter to make sure they have the ball last in the second half, and then they get the ball first in the second half. So it makes it feel like you do get 2 drives in a row. But that hasn't worked for the Dolphins. So it works for the Patriots, doesn't work for the Dolphins. It's probably not the only thing. Let's move on and let's talk about this showdown with the Cardinals, which now becomes huge as we were relatively optimistic almost about the Dolphins' playoff spot
They
a year
their
ago.
own destiny
They did.
last week.
And it turns out, with the way the tiebreakers work, not all losses are the same type of losses. And this loss, because of it was to an AFC team, now they lose the tiebreaker to the Broncos, and it's almost like you lose a game and a half to the Broncos in the standings and in the wild card. So 10 wins is the minimum. It might take 11 wins to actually get into the playoffs. Is 10 wins achievable for the Dolphins now with the 4 games left?
I think it is. If you look at it from this standpoint, it will require you to beat the Cardinals and sweep the Jets and the Bills, which is possible. I mean, the Jets aren't playing very well.
Sure.
And the Bills, you manhandled them that first matchup. Now, this is going to be in Buffalo. Well, good God, no, I don't even know what the weather is. Or beat the Patriots at the end of the season when they probably don't have anything to play for. And you've split a series with the Patriots past couple of years. And this one happens to be at home. Hey, who knows?
It's doable.
It's doable. You can get to 3. My bar, however, is splitting this final stretch. I have realistic goals for all 4 quarters of the season. I look at the opponent, look at how they're playing, and I tell you what is realistic. Realistic for this Dolphins team is to get 2 victories. Cardinals are 1-5 on the road this season. They're playing at 1 o'clock. A West Coast team playing at 1 o'clock. Usually the performance level is not that high. Do your job of taking care of home field advantage. You've played well at home this season. Believe your only losses to the Titans?
At home to the Titans, yes.
Yes. Hey, let's do this. Now, if it doesn't happen, you have the opportunity to beat the Jets and the Bills, sweep them, which is doable.
Sure.
Neither of those teams are very good. Bills are injury decimated. And Out of those 3 games, you should be able to get 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get 2, okay.
Yeah.
Then you're.
We've learned a lot. This is an information gathering type of season,
Yes.
and by the time the season is over, we've learned a lot.
Yeah, we've learned
about
a lot.
Adam Gase.
The thing about the Dolphins is they play horrible in December. They have for a decade, and probably a little bit more than a decade. You can't go 1-4 like the Joe Philbin teams, and 1-3, even though there are 5 games in December. One's really in January.
Sure.
But you can't go 1-4 in this 4th quarter of the season. That means everything that you've just done has been a waste because you're back to 8-8. We need forward progress. We need the first winning season since 2008. That will show us that there's promise, there's potential, there's hope. Roster's not very deep. We've had some injuries, but we're seeing quarterback development. We've got a 1,000-yard running back. We know these wide receivers are talented. Maybe they need to stay healthy. Defense, we need to fix that. But if we fix that, we have potential to be a playoff team. You want to walk out of this season and say, this team has the potential to be a playoff team if they make the right moves. Dolphins will have $30+ million in cap space next year. And that's before the cap even goes up to like 162 or 164. You got a lot of money to let Steve Ross do what he does. Then you've got your draft picks. Make the best of those decisions, and hopefully you can transcend and become what the Atlanta Falcons have this year. It's not easy, but it's doable.
Well, wouldn't it be great if you used all that money not on like 2 guys, but on like a few different guys?
That's not the Steve Ross way of doing things. Steve Ross needs the big splash.
Okay.
I don't knock him for that, though.
Is this Ravens loss a blueprint of how teams are going to now attack the Dolphins? And is it going to sort of spiral everything downward because now teams know how to beat the Fins?
Well, yes, the formula of attacking the middle of the field. I mean, we saw that with the 49ers. They attacked the middle of the field for every single touchdown.
Right.
So it's not like this is a new blueprint. I think the Ravens have just reinforced it. And I think that the Dolphins, the only way that they can fix this is to get better safety play or change how they're using their safeties. But that was a very specific matchup because Miami was scared of Baltimore speed on the edges with Perryman and
Mike Wallace,
with Mike Wallace. Well, Arizona doesn't really present those kind of challenges. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald ain't running by nobody.
Right.
Maybe some of their other receivers are, but you can adapt a little bit. I think the approach is trying to figure out how to create more confusion, and that was something that you didn't do against Baltimore. You basically telegraphed everything you were doing and allowed Joe Flacco to pick you apart. You got to figure out how do you disguise what you're doing a little bit better.
The Cardinals have been a team offensively that have looked confused for a better part of this season, despite the fact we would both say Bruce Arians is just about one of our favorite coaches in the NFL.
Absolutely, no question about it.
It looks like Carson Palmer is kind of burnt toast.
He's aging a little bit.
Okay. That's a nicer way of putting it.
Yes.
What's wrong with the Cardinals?
I think they've faced a lot of adversity this season. They've faced a lot of injuries now. In Bruce Arians' tenure, he's faced injuries even to his quarterbacks and still led his team to the playoffs. I think his division's a little bit tougher right now. And the caliber of teams that they've played and the situations with injuries, it's hurt them. I think they need to get their mojo back, get their swagger back. David Johnson can do that, especially against the Dolphins. I mean, guys, NFC Player of the Week this week, 170 yards. He's got the potential to carry their offense.
All right, let's take a question from Luke. Is preventing big plays the key to victory against the Cardinals?
Dolphins have done a good job of preventing big plays all season, so I don't think that's going to be a factor. I think you probably have Byron Maxwell shadow Larry Fitzgerald. Byron Maxwell is not fastest cornerback in the world, but he can hang with Larry Fitzgerald. To me, the biggest concern is David Johnson containing the run, and he's a threat catching passes as well. Who shadows David Johnson? Who follows him?
There's nobody.
Who's responsible? Is it Mike Hall? Is it Kiko Alonso with one hand and one good leg? That is my biggest concern. I don't know exactly how you would play that. That's why Adam Gase gets the big bucks and makes all those tough decisions. Because, man, this is a tough channel.
Well, if you're someone who watches the Dolphins and just doesn't watch any other team, David Johnson's probably, with Ezekiel Elliott, the best running backs in the NFL. And this offense, with Carson Palmer not able to throw the ball down the field whatsoever, has basically become the David Johnson show. I don't have it in front of me, but there's been multiple games this season in which he's led them in rushing and receiving.
He must be on your fantasy team. Does he at least have the playoffs?
He's had a good year.
Yeah, okay.
He's had a good year. And so there are teams who have good linebackers that haven't been able to stop David Johnson.
Yeah.
And this is a
In
significant
fairness to
problem.
the Dolphins, they have done a good job containing some of the NFL's best running backs coming into the games. LaShawn McCoy, even though he was hurt, wasn't a factor. San Diego, Melvin Gordon.
Sure.
Wasn't a factor.
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell, wasn't a factor. Now, is David Johnson Le'Veon Bell? Well, yeah. Actually is.
Kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, actually. So I don't, outside of Miami's horrendous ability to not stop the run, 30th in the NFL all season long. It's like nothing you can really do to help them. What are you going to put a safety in the box and expose yourself against their secondary? Like, okay, this is going to be a game where Donald Butler and Neville Hewitt and maybe even Jelani Jenkins, if he plays, are going to have to be on their P's and Q's and show you that, hey, these guys are playing for their futures. Take a little pride in that.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then quickly from Kevin, will the Unicorns play again this season?
I don't think they will. No. I'm not very optimistic about Mike Pouncey. I think if he gets out there and practices, he's probably a week away from playing. I don't see him practicing this week. It breaks my heart, but I think the Dolphins need to be more focused on Mike Pouncey's long-term health, getting him healthy, allowing him to be the player that he has the potential to be, and getting this hip issue in this past. If it's a degenerative issue, well, there are things that he can do, like lose weight, that can help him strengthen his core, that can help him play a little bit better. And that needs to be their focus now, not rushing Mike Pouncey onto the field.
All right, prediction time.
I'm going to go with a Dolphins win. I'm picking a Dolphins win 24-21, only on my belief that this team is a lot better than they showed, and they will respond to the adversity, the embarrassment that they had against Baltimore. I don't think the Cardinals are that scary. I respect Bruce Arians. I respect Carson Palmer. I love Larry Fitzgerald. Patrick Peterson is probably the best athlete I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Is he definitely going to play? He's been banged up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But I think that this is a game where the Dolphins will respond to the adversity and go out there and produce their 8th win of the season.
All right, I'm also taking the Dolphins to win this
Look
game,
at that.
despite the fact that I don't know how they're going to stop David Johnson. But maybe that's the key. Let him do whatever he does, stop everyone else, and see where that gets you. I got to give a score, right?
Yes, you do.
27-20,
You
Dolphins
almost
win.
let that slip through there.
All right. If you're watching
27-20?
27-20.
Damn, you got Dolphins scoring 27 points?
They'll find a way.
All right.
If you're watching us live, hang on and watch us for X's and Omar Overtime. We'll answer the questions that you've sent us during the show. If you enjoy watching us but would like to hear us anywhere you go, you can download the X's and Omar podcast. Just search X's and Omar on iTunes. For Omar, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.
Tell them about overtime.
Hello, this is Overtime. We are actually putting a clock on Overtime this week. It's going to be just 8 minutes, so we're going to get to your questions as quick as we possibly can. We're going to, at the 7-minute mark, we're going to get one of these from our production staff, and then we're going to get a big old one of these at the 8-minute mark, and that's when we are going to cut off all the questions.
David Skeleton asks.
Hold on, we're not up yet.
We're not.
And welcome to X and Omar Overtime. Here we go.
All right. David Skeleton asks, are the Dolphins overachieving? Do you think that they can make the playoffs with this defense? I'm going to throw that to you.
Do I think they can make the playoffs with this defense?
Correct. That was the question.
I think they probably can because I think that they are good enough to beat the teams that they have left. The biggest issue is going to be, what do the Broncos do? What do the Ravens do? Is 10 wins going to be enough? Because it just might not be. Okay. If 10 wins...
So you think they get to 10?
I think they can get to 10.
Okay. They are indeed overachieving. I don't see them getting to 10. Hopefully 9 is good enough. But 9 is good enough to achieve. I hope they're good enough to achieve 9. Richard Kaufman asks, how confident are you in the cornerback going into next season? I'm not very confident in the cornerbacks going into next season. I think I'd love to see Xavier Howard for the rest of the season. I think he's probably going to be playing this week, getting him in and see continued development. But I think the Dolphins need another cornerback, primarily a guy who can rotate in and play that nickel spot.
Jay is challenging you. You selling the same old story, next year Ryan Tannehill can be good rhetoric. That goes against everything you are,
I told you, I think Ryan Tannehill's good now. I really do. I think he's good now. Do I think he's going to lead this team to a championship? No. Do I think he's going to lead this team to the playoffs? No, not really. I would like to see continued growth. He's got everything he needs to be good. Mm-hmm. Just needs to pull it out of him. Somebody needs to pull it out of him.
Luis wants to know what's in your mug.
Luis. Water, Luis.
It is water.
Yes.
Mine too.
I'm not scared to drink something else, though.
He said it's not Kool-Aid. No, it's not Kool-Aid.
Anyway, Luis. Luis.
Jose.
Okay.
Can good coaching solve last week's problems?
Yes, absolutely. Personnel. You need personnel. You need some personnel help, though. You need some personnel help. I just don't think. Hey, why not play Mike Hall?
Yeah.
Why not? Can't get worse. That's the same situation. Weren't we talking like that with Cameron Wake and Andre Branch and those defensive ends? Why not?
Can't get worse.
Can't get worse.
Huh.
This is a question that's interesting. The Real Breezy 77 asks, Mike Glennon and Geno Smith are free agents next year. Will the Dolphins sign either of them to give Tannehill competition? Hell no. That's ridiculous.
The question is either one of them better than Matt Moore?
No.
No.
No. Not even close.
No.
I
the only reason you bring in a quarterback...
I'd sign both of them for a $2 million deal. Non-guaranteed. Have them compete with Matt Moore. They're not competing with Ryan Tannehill. Neither of them. Okay?
Richard, how confident are you in the cornerbacks going into next season?
I answered that already.
You did?
Yes, I did.
I was not paying attention.
You were not paying attention.
I was looking at stuff.
You're trying to find questions.
What did you say?
I said you're going to have to invest. I want to see Xavier Howard play. You're going to have to invest in cornerbacks.
I remember now. Are you in the chat open?
Yes, I do.
Let's get the chat open.
Okay.
Okay.
No!
Oh, jeez.
I messed it up. Oh, no, I do have the chat open.
Okay.
Bam, here you go.
All right. Chat
Which
questions.
current linebacker will make the team next year?
Yes. Which current linebacker? That's from Slick 6971. Which current linebackers will make the team next year?
Kiko Alonso is definitely going to be here.
Yep.
Jelani Jenkins, I don't know. Depends on what free agency provides him. I don't see him getting a major deal. I don't see him making more than $3 million a year. And I wouldn't break the bank for Jelani Jenkins. Neville Hewitt will be back because he's cheap and young. Zach Vigil will be back. Mike Hall will be back. Now the question is who starts. I have no idea. But
hopefully someone who's not on the roster.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Monty. Do you think that what Ajayi's done is prove that he's a premier back this year?
I do, primarily because he leads the NFL in yards after contact. That is a very good stat. That's a very good stat that indicates this guy's good. Now, the question about Ajayi's durability, his hands are not very good. Mm-hmm. I wish he was more of a threat, running routes, catching pass, being more deceptive on his routes. But I think he's got what it takes to be a 1,200-yard runner this year and next year. Question is, how durable is he? Can he handle a 220-carry workload every season?
Does that make him a top 15 back in the
I
NFL?
think he's a top 7 back right now.
Wow.
Who's right now.
Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll throw you LaShawn McCoy.
Okay, LaShawn McCoy.
Devontae Freeman.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, Devontae Freeman's pretty good.
He's all right.
He's pretty good. But outside of that, I take.
There's some bad running back. Thomas
Melvin
Rawls is really
Gordon's-
good if he
Melvin-
can stay
who?
on the. Thomas Rawls, the guy from Seattle, if he can stay on the. He was incredibly there tonight. He can't stay
yeah.
healthy. Anyway, let's
The
move
other
on.
night,
We could just
the
be
other-
here. We could just be here forever. Jimmy T, does Vance Joseph have a problem with in-game adjustments, or is everything just poor
It
linebacker
just
play?
in game all the time. They did so many different things. They tried so many different things. They dropped defensive ends back into the hole. Man, he tried everything. There was nothing going to stop that flood.
Okay. Blake, doesn't seem like Rashad Jones wants to stay in Miami. Is the tag in question when his contract ends?
Where'd you get? Doesn't seem like he's going to stay in Miami.
He
Rashad likes,
wants to say, so they say.
Rashad likes money. Rashad
Yeah.
needs money. Show Rashad the money. Rashad don't have a problem.
That's not necessarily unique among
No.
professional athletes.
No, Rashad's fine. Rashad's going to be here. He's coming off an injury. He's making decent money. They're going to make him play on it. They'll probably tag him the year after that. Rashad's good.
True or false?
Mm-hmm.
From Lynn. Arizona's secondary will cause problems for Miami.
I think false. I don't think their secondary is that great. I mean, I love Patrick Peterson, but
The rest of them aren't that good.
yeah, especially without the Honey Badger. I don't know if he calls himself the Honey Badger.
He
now.
doesn't like it, which is why we should continue to call him it.
Okay.
Slick asked us another one, which is good. I think, and you've talked about it on Twitter this week. Is Dion Sims worthy of being the starting tight end next year?
Definitely signing him. Not breaking the bank to sign him. I don't know what I would offer him. I'd have to study what tight ends are making, but he's definitely somebody I want back on the roster. Will I try to draft a young tight end? Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah.
But Jordan Cameron,
No. Yeah.
it's over.
Gone. Right.
Yeah.
He's not getting Charles Clay money either.
No. Dion Sims, I would be shocked if he gets a $4 million contract. $4 million a year, but that's the thing. Sometimes you got to let these guys, which is what you saw last offseason, guys graduated out because they weren't worth the money that they were going to be paid.
Right.
Lamar Miller, Olivier Vernon, Rashard Matthews. Even though I disagree, Rashard Matthews was worth the money. Rashard Matthews is having like a Pro Bowl season at $5 million a year. So,
All right, we're just about done. Sun God wants to know, is it all over now? With the election, this is all I had. Now the world will end and the Dolphins will still suck.
you make that up. You made that up.
No, I'm not right. That's what Sun God says. Is it
Oh
all
my
over now?
God.
With the election, this is all I had. Now the world will end and the Dolphins still suck.
One loss?
That's it.
One loss? You're quitting after one loss?
We can stop talking about the division now.
Oh, absolutely.
We can stop talking about the division now. We can stop talking about the division.
I didn't pay attention to you when you were talking about division anyway.
I just said we'll see, and we've seen it.
Hey, you never know. I think they can beat the Patriots.
This is a
in
big.
season finale.
I do too, but this is a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one this weekend. We'll see what happens, and then we'll see you next week for another edition of X's and Omar.
Wednesday, 11 o'clock. What? No.